fondue is better than goulash. Well, I'm not so sure about that. Here's how Group A stands after the first round of games. And, well, Germany with their comprehensive victory over Scotland last night on top 5-1 that finished. And next now we have Switzerland. Hungary, by virtue of the goal difference, although they've lost the match, are in fourth for the moment. And poor old sorry Scotland, after what was simply a hammering last night, they prop up the table at the moment. But Scotland have to play Switzerland next. Switzerland will be cock-a-hoop after that. And Scotland just have to start again, don't they? Yeah, they do. And to be fair to Switzerland, you know, they had a pretty good first half, but second half, Hungary really probably, you know, they started to lay a glove. They got hold of the ball a little bit more. There was a bit more needle in the game. Proper challenges. Why was that? What did Hungary do and say at half-time that helped them turn the game? I think in the first half, Hungary just got sucked in. They just ended up too deep. They couldn't get out. Their two wing-backs got penned in. And then they couldn't get the ball forward to Szoboszlai. As we said, at half-time, Freuler and Xhaka just did a really good job at screening the passes into him. So he had to be a little bit more proactive in terms of moving and getting clearing passing lanes so that players could find him. And they were a little bit more effective at doing that. I also think they swapped Shalai, who had been playing to the right of Szoboszlai in the first half. They moved him out to the left in the second half, and he was involved in a lot of the chances and creating the free kick and involved in the build-up to their goals. So I just think those little changes they made, and probably just, you know, just a bit of an attitude, you know, go and get stuck in. 2-0 down, nothing to lose, go and have a go. And they did that in the second half, and they were much better. But yeah, look, Scotland, I think Scotland will look at that game and think there'll be opportunities against both teams, because I think, in fairness to both teams, while they both showed they do have a little bit of quality, I think they both showed some weaknesses as well. We're looking at Xhaka there, Shay, and you know, he's proved again today how good he is.
Yeah, he controlled the midfield, definitely, Tony. He's one of the standout players, I think, for Switzerland. Just so calm and cool in the ball, and it's amazing when you've got the ball, you don't have to run after it so much. You know, he's getting on a bit into his 30s now, but at the same time, you know, when you're a football player, you rest when you're on the ball, and you enjoy that more than chasing after it, you know. So I thought they really dominated the midfield. And yeah, I mean, Hungary, give them some credit. You know, second half, they really sort of threw caution to the wind. Sometimes it's a psychological thing. We're 2-0 down, lads. You know, a bit of a get-together in the changing room at half-time. We've nothing to lose in second half. They did have a reaction. Of course, we Varga getting that goal at 2-1. You thought, you know, they might just get back into it, but
game on at that point.
It was game on. It was game on. And then we'll look probably at the goals after. But the third goal again was very similar to the sort of couple of goals we showed pre-match, wasn't it? It was poor defending from Hungary, really. It
was almost like the Troy Parrott goal in a way.
Similar, very similar, wasn't it? It was a similar goal, and there was a bit of comical value as well, because I think his hamstring strapping fell off. We thought it was his boot, and then, you know, he's managed to. It's a good finish from Mbolo.
Well, Kenny Cunningham thought it was a party hat.
A bit early for that, Tony, but no, it was a good finish in the end from Mbolo, and he's a top striker as well, and you know, Switzerland will be really happy, you know, after tonight's game, and it's Scotland next, isn't it, for them? So that's they'll probably look at that and think if they can beat Scotland, obviously they're clearly through to the next stage. But again, you know, I don't think Scotland will fear Hungary either. So if Scotland can maybe go against Switzerland and you know, get a draw, they might fancy Hungary in the last game, perhaps. Yeah.
Hungary's coach Rossi, he's been with them a long time, 6 years, I think. Yeah. And you know, he's got a very good reputation, but to have to try and, you know, work out a plan to defeat a rampant Germany now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, that's the type of game where you are probably looking to be more defensive. And like we talked about at the start, goal difference could end up being important in this game. And I remember in 2016 when Northern Ireland, we were in the same group with Ukraine and Poland and Germany. And the key to the Germany game was actually keeping the score low. And we kept that at 1-0. I think you might remember Michael McGovern had the game of his life. Yeah. And it was 1-0. They absolutely battered Northern Ireland for the whole game. But that 1-0, because he kept it so tight, actually proved to be the difference and got you through to the knockout stages. So I do think that's something that every team that will look at, every team will learn from what Scotland did.
Your second game, do not get beaten.
I think you probably take that approach for your first game, and then if you lose your first game, you absolutely can't lose your second one. If you lose your second one after losing your first one, you're gone. So I think, you know, the difficulty for Hungary...
But from a Hungary point of view, would they be saying, like...
Well, they're not going to beat Germany, realistically. You know, you would think, based on what we've seen both today and last night, you would think they won't. But they have to keep the score down. And then if other teams can beat each other, then you could have a number of teams end up on 3 points. So that's where the goal difference might come in. So it's about keeping your goal difference as low as possible and then trying to go and win your third game.
Might see a Scottish revival.
I mean, it's not going to be an easy game. You know, Switzerland shown tonight in spells, especially first half. They were brilliant first half. But then I think probably even Steve Clarke after the game last night saying we couldn't be that poor, I don't think, in the next game. And again, it's like, OK, I think Andy Robertson said before the game, they can create history by getting out of the group stage, Scotland, and they can still do that, Tony. So again, it's about the psychological side of things. Is from a Scottish point of view, park that result last night, park the goals, it's gone.
You wouldn't even do analysis on that game.
No, I don't think so. You just try and park it from a psychological point of view, lads. There's nothing we can do, but we can do something about the next game. And even, I know you probably think after losing the first game, you have to win the second game. But for me, even a draw for Scotland in the next game against Switzerland, I don't think it's a bad result, because I would fancy Scotland to beat Hungary in the last game.
Switzerland did the necessary and overcame Hungary by 3-1. I don't know how many of you do an office sweep or a sweep at home when you make a little wager, and somebody got 3-1 on the office sweep, and that was me. You got 2-1, Lisa.
2-1. You nicked it at the end.
Yeah, well, you see, having seen how Switzerland did what Ireland did and came late, you know, what can I say?
The knee slide was a bit much across the studio, Tony, when that goal went in. I knew it's Swiss grandparents or something.
Well, anyway, let's look at the second goal first, because Varga did an important job for Hungary, and let's see what you thought of it.
Yeah. So I mean, he had 2 big chances in the lead up just before this, the 2 big misses as well. But this is a really well orchestrated goal. Shalai does very, very well here, engages 2 defenders and just gives that space for Szoboszlai to cut inside, and he delivers a sublime ball in. You see it here. Shalai just steps forward. The nearest defender can't come out, and then the little ball dinked in. And Varga does actually he does really well to come from behind Abisher. It's not the easiest thing, and I have to say I do love a diving header. I don't think we see enough of them in the game, and it was a really, really brilliant finish. And actually at the very, very start of that phase of play, it's actually Varga that gets the knockdown in midfield to open up the play and get the ball out to the midfielder. I think it's Naj to actually start the play. So he was involved in actually that winning of the first ball, and then he finished it off, putting the ball
and
back.
That should have been momentum shift then in favour of Hungary, shouldn't it?
Well, it was for a time, and Switzerland were looking round a bit and saying, like, can we hold on here? Because they were coming strong second half, definitely, but they managed to get the job done. But this goal obviously is an injury time. It's a killer. It's a good goal from Mbolo off the bench, of course.
It's a great goal from Mbolo,
especially when you're in the sweepstake for you, Tony. And no, I mean, we spoke about this beforehand. It's a really bad header from Orban. I don't know if it's a tiredness thing or a concentration thing. You know, it's in injury time, but he's got to either head that clear, Tony, or head it back to his goalkeeper. He does neither. It's nearly assist for Mbolo from Orban's header, and it's a brilliant finish, don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic finish. I spoke about the comical value. Look at his, I think it's a hamstring strapping, but that actually could have tripped him up going through there, but he
could have confused the keeper as well.
Could have confused everyone, but he could have actually slipped over on his own hamstring thing, which would have been even more comical, but he managed to keep his composure, and it's a brilliant finish when the keeper's coming out.
Route one from the Swiss keeper as well, though.
Yeah, I mean,
we hear about playing out from the back so often. At that stage of a game, you don't play out from the back.
Well,
much.
You don't. I mean, you play in their half and you keep a nice solid base, and probably Summers kicking along thinking, let's get the ball up the pitch far away as possible because the game's done. And again, it's a poor mistake from Hungary.
Hungary did have chances, though.
Yeah, no, they did. And Varga, again, was really the main centre point. He had 3 great chances in addition to the goal. And this is the first one here. And again, you see it's that little ball over the top. And Varga does really well. And defender slips and he just puts it over the bar. And again, this is another one. Shalai again. Beautiful left-footed cross in. And really, he has to hit the target with that one. That's a sublime ball in. And then he scores after that second one, and then this was a super ball in from Kerkets, and Sommer just literally picks it off the toe of Varga. But they had got some really good chances, and Varga and Shalai and Szoboszlai at the heart of them.
It's something we asked earlier, though. I mean, Hungary had a very impressive record coming into it. Have they justified that in today's performance?
I think they'll be really disappointed with the first half performance. And I think, they probably showed a little bit more of what they could do in the second half. But I think when you come to tournament football, one of the key things is, particularly when you're managing your players game to game and their minutes, and particularly if you think you're going to get to the knockout stages, you have to use your squad. And I think what we really saw today was the depth that Switzerland had in their bench and the quality that they could bring on versus the players that Hungary could bring in, and they just don't have the same quality of depth. If they can get their best 11 on the pitch, I think, and keep them on as long as possible, they'd probably have a better chance. But once Switzerland started bringing in Mbolo and lads like that, like it was difficult.
Shay, Switzerland didn't need your old Mukra Shaqiri. I mean, they're holding him for a more important moment, perhaps.
Yeah, well, it was funny, some of the comments I read actually in the last couple of days that someone said, you know, you're only here to make up the numbers, and he was quite angry at that, because I think the manager might have said he can't play with 2 games in 5 days, and he reported back to the report. Did he say that as in his own manager? You know, again, any player goes to a major tournament, wants to play, and he'll be angry Shaqiri didn't come on today. But again, his legs are saved for the next game perhaps, and they might need him against Scotland.
Let's look at the other Swiss chances that we had today.
They had a few. I mean, I was really impressed with Doha, because beforehand we were scrambling around. You know, it's only his second game. We were scrambling around the studio thinking, well, where's this guy come from? You know, he only made his debut for them, you know, 11 days ago, and he scored the first goal, of course, and again had another shot at the start of the second half. And if that had been in, he would have been, you know, he would have been absolutely buzzing. But this shot had come, I think, from Vargas. Good save from Galashki. But they did have chances. I mean, it's sporadic chances in the second half because it was more Hungary, but still they looked dangerous on the break. And of course, you know, Scotland watching this again, they'll be looking at the chances they created. Set plays is always a danger, and I think Scher proven not just for his country but for Newcastle this season, very dangerous. And again, it's another really good head. I think it's this time it's Xhaka who's off the defender, and a great save from Galashi. And you know, they broke away again here. I think just Galashi does enough, stands his ground, you know, forces him wide, and it's a big touch that keeps him wide, and they managed to mop it up again. But he's going to be happy, Yakin, tonight, you know, getting off first game in the tournament, getting off to 3 points, and he'll be looking forward to the next game.
He's a decent player, all right, isn't he?
That's coming from a Spurs fan, Tony, isn't it? No, I mean,
he wasn't decent when he played for them.
As I said before the break, he really controlled the midfield. He's really calm, you know, and collective, and of course he's their leader on the pitch as well. And you know, he's mentioned about the fans after, you know, saying all the right things. But again, he's saying the right things about recovery now for the next game. They have to get their feet back on the ground and focus on the Scottish game.
Their last game in Qatar was hammering by Portugal, 6-1.
Yeah, and they were damaged by that, you know, and I think even the manager was questioned and stuff like that. Like, and you know, that the frailty, I think, of this Swiss team when you get a run on them, and if you can disturb their structure, and if you've got really good quality players who can go 1v1, and Germany have that. And that's where I think you can really hurt really well organised and well structured teams. But they had to get over that, and I think there was a lot of post-mortems, I think, following that. Very, very disappointing for them, but they've rebuilt, and I think that's why the expectations were a bit low of them coming into this tournament. But they've had a good start, and you don't want to peak too soon in tournament football. You want to gradually build your momentum, pick up your points, pick up your results, and then gradually get to where you want to be. But no, they'll be happy with where they are today.
They have a lot of players playing in the top 5 leagues in Europe, but then we come up with a fella who isn't among those. He plays for Ludogorets, and he, you know, I'll blow your trumpet.
Yeah, well, I mean, we spoke about him beforehand because it was a shock when the team came in beforehand, and this is a...
But you seem to have a feeling that he might do something.
Thinking he must do something. It's only his second cap. I was like, I had to double check all my facts and my stats, and I know the guys upstairs run around, like, you know, just making sure we got that right. But it's his second cap, and looked like he's playing for them for a long number of years. He's 27 years of age. I think he was born in London. But this for the goal we mentioned at half time. You know, he makes a great run off the centre half, but now can he be calm? Can he be cool? Can he stick it away? And like, his second cap in a major tournament and the first goal for his country is just phenomenal. This is again at the start of the second half. You know, he makes good moves, and you know, he's peeling off the defenders again. You know, gets a shot off. We talked about making a good save, but it's a little bit of a fairy tale story for him, because he was even shocked 2 weeks ago or whatever, 3 weeks ago, to get the phone call, and he thought it was a bit of a wind up, thinking I'm in the squad, and then he thought, I'm in the squad, but it must only be as a squad player. For, you know, something happens to one of the other guys. But it was a big call from the manager, and he performed like that. He's done really, really well.
Does he stay in the team now?
Oh, definitely for me. Yeah, he's my favourite for the tournament now. He's going to go for the goal.
He's going to be top scorer, is he?
Golden boot a lot. He's going to get. But no, again, it's an opportunity. You know, we always say before these tournaments or during these tournaments, you know, people pop up. I'm not saying he's going to be the star of the tournament, but at the same time, maybe it's a chance for him to get a move from the Belgian league, and there'll be clubs maybe looking at him.
And what about Michel Abasera and his goal? That's his first goal for Switzerland. I think he played 20 goalless matches before that.
Yeah, absolutely. And he got the assist for Dua's goal prior to this. And again, you just see the little ball played across by Freuler, and he just steps inside, creates that bit of space, and he just guides it around. And it's just a really good finish. Now, obviously, the Hungarian defending here is really, really poor. No, despite a number of opportunities, they just do not get any pressure on the ball. But I just think the way his composure takes the step inside, he has a little look, and then he just guides it around Schaefer into the very bottom corner. And Gulashi probably sees it a little bit late, but it's a really composed, really sublime finish. And, you know, once they went 2-0 up then, you know, it was really, really difficult for Hungary. But, you know, two very composed performances by both players.
Switzerland have qualified for the last 5 World Cups, the last 3 successive European Championships. What are they doing right there?
That we're not?
Yeah.
You might as well finish that question.
Do you want to swap seats?
Well, do you know what? I think they've got stability in the group, and they've got a lot of quality, and they've also kind of transitioned players in. Like, I mean, bringing Dua in today, nobody knows anything about him. He's 27. He probably comes in. He probably hasn't even had a chance to feel pressure or feel nervous. Like, he's playing with that fearlessness, and maybe Switzerland actually needed a little bit of that. Because when you look at the quality that's in the team, and you know, we talk about, like, there's always kind of been, every time there's a tournament, you're kind of going, it'd be really interesting to see what Switzerland do because of that pedigree they have and that consistent pedigree. But they always just seem to flounder once they get to the group stages. So and there comes a point when you just have to deliver and push on. So yeah, I think. I'll be honest, I'm sticking with my guns. I still don't think Switzerland will be a contender to win this competition. But I think they'll be a tricky enough team along the way. But I still think
what they've
susceptible.
done, it seems to me, quite well. There's a lot of an immigrant population in there as well, and they've used that. When you look at Xhaka and you look at Shaqiri, and you know, and they've integrated footballers, as we're hoping to try and do in this country.
Why not? Why not? We need all the help we can get, and the more the players come through, the better. I mean, I always look at Switzerland, and you always compare, don't you, to Ireland, because it's a small country, you know, small group of players. And
we were very competitive against Switzerland in recent years.
But you mentioned like 4 or 5 really good players in top league, but we've got 4 or 5 players in the Premier League in England as well. So we've got players in the nucleus of a good team. So I always compare and think, and they always, like, the last 3 Euros they qualified, whatever, they've got through the group stage as well. So it's like, if they can do it, I know this is simple and it's simplicity, sitting on the sofa, and it's easy to say, and it's so much. We haven't even got a manager, for example, at the minute. So we need to get the right people in the right places.
Means we need more Jake O'Briens that we have in Lyon in France, and more of those young guys that are playing in Italy at the moment.
And I talked before the game tonight about the spine of the team. We've got 2 brilliant goalkeepers. You look at Collins, you look at O'Brien, you look in the midfield, you know, the players coming through, you Smallbone, you look at the striker, Ferguson, £100 million they were talking about last summer for. So there's players, you know, in there that can do stuff. It's just getting them. It's just frustrating.
There's also a professional league in Switzerland, and you look at, and there's professional teams with European pedigree like FC Basel, Zurich, Grasshoppers.
And you look at some of their facilities versus what we have in this country.
So you know, you're not comparing but there's still an awful lot of work to be done on the ground here, in order just to catch up.
But we have been competitive with Switzerland recent past and for
the
over
other thing
the
that sort of springs to mind as well is we haven't qualified for X amount of tournaments, so you fall down the rankings, you fall into a pot that's harder to qualify. And I looked at Switzerland's group there this morning about who the group they came out of. Like, it wasn't any big heavyweights in there, because their class is a heavyweight because they've qualified for so many back-to-back tournaments, Tony. So the more tournaments we don't qualify, we fall down the rankings again. And then each time we come up to a group, we've got bigger and bigger and stronger teams to try and get past.
They had a great campaign. I think it was 4 wins, 5 draws and 1 defeat. That's a kind of stuttering form, really.
They got through, didn't they? They got the job done.
Through.
Yeah, so... We live in hope, Tony. We live in hope.
Hope is a good place to be, isn't it? Yeah. Well, Switzerland, then, do you think they're better than their 19th FIFA ranking?
Not really, if I'm honest. I still think they're quite a limited team. I think they showed frailties tonight. I think they're, like I said, I think they're quite well organised. They're well structured. They have some quality players, but you know, I just don't see the magic about it. The further you go in the tournament, the more creative players you need. And I just don't feel that they have that. And I think at the back as well, they're still a little bit vulnerable. Like, you look at the Hungary goals and the chances that Varga had, you know, they really did open up that Swiss defence. So, and Hungary are not the most creative team in the world either. So I still think there's frailties in that Swiss team. I don't think I think they're a team that will get out of a group, and they're still consistently in that space, but I don't see them going on and being contenders.
Good start, and the Swiss are on a roll. That's the first games of Group A done for now.